What is up? What is cracking, collective? It's your girl Ash. Happy New Year's Eve. And some of y'all might be listening to this on New Year's Day. I mean, with the little views that I do get, I am grateful. I am thankful, on YouTube. And man, let's just go into this new year and do the best that we can do, right? Let's not talk about it. Let's be about it. Let's not talk at all, right? But this message, this story, this word may resonate with you, and then again, it may not resonate with you at all. But if you're like, yo, Ash, that was me in the past, I can resonate with you because that was simply me in the past. Make sure you hit the like button. If you're like, yo, Ash, that's me right now, I'm going through that right now, make sure you hit the like button, right? And in this message and in this story and in this word is about somebody that didn't know. Now, this can be you that just simply didn't know something. Or this can be someone else telling you, like, man, I didn't know. And whoever is telling the person that they may didn't know, the other person is like, man, how you didn't know? Explain to me from your actions how you didn't know. And if you are maybe another person in the story, you might be like, man, how didn't I know that somebody was doing me wrong? How didn't I know somebody was treating me wrong? How didn't I know that this was wrong? How didn't I know that everything around me was telling me that these things were wrong? That what I was going through was wrong? How somebody was doing me was wrong? Or how I was simply doing myself was wrong? So we have a situation here once again that it can be like us telling this to somebody else, or it can be us telling this to ourselves and talking to ourselves like, man, how you didn't know? And it kind of goes like, how you treated me unfair, but you didn't know. How you treated me unfair, but you did know. How you treated me unfair, but I didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but I didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but you didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but I didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but I didn't know. How did you treat me unfair, but I simply didn't know? How did I let that just go past me like that? How did I let that just fly like that? How did I let that just happen like that? Or man, why do I constantly keep on letting this happen like that? Some of us, we can be asking ourselves like, man, if you believe in love and all that it can do for you, give it a chance, girl. You'll find romance, girl. Right? Maybe some of us is believing in that, right? Or maybe some of us have simply believed in that. We have believed in love over and over again. And we simply always get hurt in love. And we like bump our head like, man, how didn't I know? How did you treat me so unfairly and you didn't know? How did you treat me so unfairly but you did know? How did you treat me so unfairly but I didn't know? I didn't see it, I couldn't recognize it, or I'm just not seeing it and I don't recognize it. And some of us is so in love, like, look, man, I don't even know if this is the right love or the wrong love. I don't know if I'm being treated correctly or unfairly in love. But how do I let this person or these people treat me so unfairly and I don't know? How come I just still don't know? And maybe this year we have started to see, like, man, damn, he didn't love me for real. Dang, she didn't love me for real. Dang, they didn't love me for real. But I didn't know. And sometimes this is just us realizing that maybe we wasn't loving ourselves and we didn't know. Or maybe, man, I'm steady letting this slide because I didn't know. Or maybe I'm letting this slide because I'm always double thinking to myself, like, man, maybe I'm wrong and I didn't know. Maybe I'm wrong and I just didn't know. And I feel like sometimes what people don't talk about is when you love someone, and this doesn't have to be a lover, this can be a family member, this can be friends, and you want to believe so bad that this person or these people, they have the best intentions for you. You want to believe so bad that, man, it's somebody out here that really does have good intentions for me. And that I'm just tweaking. That I'm just being too cautious. Or like, you know what? Yeah, I am being too cautious. And we get caught up in, like, man, yeah, I am being too cautious. I am being too isolated of myself. I am tripping a little bit too much. Yeah, I am bugging out a little bit too much. So maybe they're right, and I just don't know. Maybe how they treated me is actually right, but I just think that they're treating me wrong, and I just don't know. Sometimes these are the questions that we ask in love. Like, I know my family kind of been acting funny, or I know some things is just kind of funny, or I know they talking behind my back, but maybe it's the right thing that they should do, and I just don't know. Or maybe me expressing myself and trying to say, like, look, I don't like how you talk about me behind my back. Maybe I should just be quiet, and that's my fault, because at the end of the day, I didn't know. Maybe, my principles are just too strong of principles, and I just don't know. Maybe I don't know. Nothing at all. I had seen the quote that says something about, the person that think they know, they actually know nothing at all. It's like, look, man, I know nothing at all. I don't know anything. And maybe we are just all winging this life, and we don't even know truly anything. And maybe I'm just winging this thing called life, and I'm trying to understand everybody's point of view and everybody's understanding to the point where I'm like, look, man, I don't know anything. When I thought I had it all figured out, man, I don't know anything. When you thought you had it all figured out, man, you don't know anything. I truly don't know anything. The secrets What's really a secret? Is it really truly a secret? Because I'm telling you now, can one person keep a secret? How you treat me unfair, but you didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but you didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but I didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but I didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but I didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but I didn't know. But I didn't know. And sometimes you don't want to leave. This don't have to be about love, but when you have this connection to somebody, it's like, look, I don't want to leave. When you've been in an environment your whole life, you're like, man, I don't want to leave. But I gotta go right now, and I'll be back before you know it. When you've been with somebody so long, you're like, look, man, I don't want to leave. Or maybe that's what we don't know, is that people think that we will never simply leave. And maybe in life we learn, like, look, man, you didn't value me when you had me, and you thought I would never leave. You thought I would never flap my wings and fly away. You thought I would never grow and get out of that little cage that you had me in, or that you thought you had me in. You thought I'll never leave. And sometimes when you leave, or when you know you gotta leave, it's like the grief of leaving. When you wish that things would just go so right, but you see that they are just simply going wrong. Like, man, I know that I'm gonna have to grieve as I leave. I know that certain things that I knew would come to pass was gonna cause me some grief. I knew these things was gonna cause me grief. And I'm getting call me grief. See, sometimes in life, some people will call you grief. And sometimes in life, they will be your grief. Meaning, I will grieve you. As I leave you, I will grieve you. And what you did to me, or when you left me, you were my grief. You were my pain. You caused me pain. And now, a part of my life, I gotta call you grief. It's like a phone book, right? And we gotta think about a phone book of the events that happened in our life that has caused us grief. The people in the phone book that has caused us grief. The things that we have done to ourselves that has simply caused us grief. And sometimes the people tell us that, man, you need to call yourself grief, because you're always grieving. You just simply need to call yourself grief. And maybe sometimes if we do call ourselves grief, if we think about inside out and we call ourselves grief, is grief worse than sadness? Or is sadness worse than grief? What is really grief? What is really grief? Grief is a trigger that has triggered us. And sometimes that grief lasts forever. Sometimes that grief lasts for a couple hours. And sometimes that grief lasts every day. Depending on the situation of the grief. Depending on the person that we call grief. Depending on the thing that has caused grief. Depending on the situation that has simply brought us grief. And when we think about something that has grieved us, we miss it. It's either we miss it or we hate that it happened. Like, look, I miss you, but at the same time, I hate that you happened. I miss you, but I hate that you happened. Or either I miss you or I hate that you happened. If it's a person dealing with grief, it's like, man, I miss you. Or if this is a person thinking about you, it's like, man, they miss you. Because you are what they call grief. You are a part of their grief. You are in the phone book of their grief. You are the number that they call grief. You are the situation in their life that has brought them grief. And then we have, man, I'm just simply mad that this happened. Part of grief. I'm simply so upset that this happened. I'm mad that they did this to me, type of grief. I'm mad that he did this to me, type of grief. I'm mad that she did this to me, type of grief. I'm mad that this just simply happened, type of grief. And at the end of the day, I think about it, type of grief. Or, man, I made that mistake, and that mistake, man, that the mistake has me by the kahunas. And I can't get rid of that grief. I can't get rid of that grief. I gotta get out of this specific grief. I gotta get out of what I call this grief. this part of my phone book, grief. This number that shows me this part in my life, grief. Because it's holding me back type of grief. And sometimes we can save the grief, right, in our phone. We can hold on to the grief in our phones. And that just simply reminds us of the grief. And they say grief gets better over time. And I believe that grief does get better over time. Like, you know, back then, a couple years ago, I was mad and I was upset that you did that to me. But now I'm not even mad. I'm not even upset that you did that to me. I know a couple years ago, I cut you off and, man, I was mad and upset that you did that to me. But now I'm not mad and I'm not upset that you did that to me. But some of our griefs are different. It's like, look, man, I can never talk to you again type of grief. I can never look at you the same again type of grief. I can never be with you again type of grief. Like, man, I don't even hold that against you, but I just know that you can't be a part of me type of grief. I know that we simply just can't be type of grief. So maybe that's just my grief. Or maybe that's just my mourning. That I have to mourn. Like no risky business, you have been warned. So when you just have to just mourn the situation. You have to mourn the person. You have to mourn the love. Like, do you know that I stuck around when I stuck around and I never wanted to mourn your love? I did everything I could because I simply didn't want to mourn your love. I forgave you and I forgave you and I forgave you back to back because I didn't want to mourn your love. I showed up, and matter of fact, I showed out because I didn't want to mourn your love. I got better at this and I got better at that, and I tried to do this and I tried to do that, and I tried to make you happy in this way and that way because I didn't want to mourn your love. But you treat me unfair, but you didn't know. Yeah, you treat me unfair, but you didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but I didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but I didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but I didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but I didn't know. And that's how it is with love, right? How you do everything possible in order to love, and you end up mourning love, and maybe you end up just mourning yourself. Like, I'm mourning myself because who have I turned to? I've turned into somebody else. And maybe certain parts of me that I've turned into, like, yeah, I accept that because I turned into something else, but some parts of me that I loved, I done turned into something else. Or who am I? Am I just simply someone else? Or maybe, man, you know what? Mourning you or mourning myself has simply showed me that I didn't know myself. that I didn't know myself, that I worried so much about what can please you, I forgot about what could please me. I worried about so much about you liking me and becoming the best version of myself for you that I forgot about me. I simply loved you so much that I forgot what I liked about myself. I forgot myself by simply loving you so much. I forgot how to say F this. I forgot how to say F that. I forgot myself. But I didn't know myself. How you treat me unfair, but I didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but you didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but you didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but I didn't know. But I didn't know. I didn't know myself. And maybe it's just simply a plan in this life to learn to love self. I just gotta simply learn to love myself. Or maybe every year we just simply learning like, look, man, I'm simply here to find a better way to love myself. One step at a time, one day at a time, 1 month at a time, 1 year at a time, love myself. Some of us have stepped into this world knowing what love is and knowing to love self. And some of us have stepped into this world learning how to love self and expressing our journey of loving ourselves. And maybe sometimes we feel bad for expressing how we just are stepping into this world, just simply trying to love ourselves. And maybe we're just realizing like, look, man, if you don't like me because I am expressing myself, I'm expressing what hurts to me. And I am telling you how you simply hurt me. And yeah, I'm telling you what I don't like about you. And yeah, I'm telling you what I don't agree with that you do. So yeah, I'm telling you that you treat me unfair, or that you treated me unfair, or I am treating myself unfair. And I didn't know. How you treat me unfair, but you didn't know. So that is my message, that is my story, and that is my word. And I hope somebody got some type of value out of this. I'm grateful, I'm thankful for whoever listens. I'm grateful, I'm thankful to see another year. I'm just grateful and I'm thankful. And I'll be busy back, baby. Peace.